welcome back to the Noble Ones podcast, where we have raw talk and real stories. And if you're here for the first time, I'm super excited that you're listening in. And if you happen to catch the first few episodes, thank you so much. This is just kind of a process of, finally, getting out and communicating, I guess, at a wider outreach about a lot of the topics that I contemplate on a daily basis. So, and then there's always, a story that, or two or three attached to whatever that topic is. So at any rate, I'm glad you're here. And today I want to talk about something that I realize I'm guilty of, but a lot of people do it. We all do it. But why do we act like we give a shit? And disclaimer, I am going to be using explicit language, probably in all the podcasts, because I do happen to swear a lot, but I just think the word shit is funny. It's expressive. It's got a good personality behind it. So anyway, we act like we give a shit about a lot of things, but in truth, most of the things that we give a shit about are because we have something to gain. So for example, this came up recently, this is a wedding time, right? So everybody's getting all these invites to weddings. And I hear so many times like, oh my God, I got this wedding invite to this person that I knew and I haven't seen them forever. And do I have to go? And, you end up going to a wedding because you're afraid of what the other person will think if you don't show up. And really, you don't give a shit about it. You don't want to go to the wedding. You haven't talked to that person. You don't have a relationship with them anymore. You maybe see their kids, here and there on Facebook, and now the daughter's getting married and you feel like, oh my God, I'm obligated to get a gift and what am I going to wear? And all of this stuff, when really all you would have to do is decline the invitation. So, that's a really simple example, but I think it goes deeper into our relationship. Like we'll stay in relationships for far, far too long. Why? Because we're afraid of change. We are afraid to be on our own. I mean, these are personal relationships or even friendships. We're here and we're growing and we're evolving, and we'll stay and, try to hold on to relationships that maybe are expired. Maybe they're past that time of what we were supposed to learn or what we were supposed to gain from them. But again, we stay in them because we are afraid to make the shift, to get out. Who will we be without it? There's all these different things that come up when really you're just done. You don't give a shit anymore. You're tired of arguing, or you're tired of, always disagreeing with that person, but we don't make the shift out of it. Jobs are a big one too. I talk to a lot of people that stay in jobs because of the paycheck, or because that's what they studied, or that's what they've done for years. It's the only thing that they know, but they're so unhappy in their career. And, it just becomes like this, the thing that you spend the majority of your time doing, right? Is your job, is your work. But you don't give a shit about it. There's no passion in it. There's no, whatever your passion is. Mine is serving and helping other people through emotional health things, but that's not everybody's. What's your passion? Follow that, but we don't, even though we don't give a shit most of the time about what we're doing for a job. So I think there's some ways that we can just start to be more authentic in how we show up, which means what we give a shit about, right? You want to make sure that it's true to you first, that you're not doing it as a form of people pleasing, codependency, all the things, all the labels that we all are because of how we grew up and all the, emotional and conditional programming. So you want to take a look at what really matters to you when you make decisions. So I came up with a list. I wrote down 4 things. I have this little whiteboard sitting in front of me about how I think we can be better at giving a shit, being more authentic about the shits we give. So number 1 is just being aware of it. When something comes up and kind of triggers you, like somebody asks you to do something, or there's an event coming up, or just something that doesn't sit with you, being aware is, I'm going to say this over and over again. Your emotional awareness is literally the number one thing that you can do for yourself on a daily basis. When you understand how you feel about things, it will impact every other area of your life. So become aware, like, why am I making the decision that I'm making? What is your why? What's the intention behind why you're going to go forward and do something? So why am I doing it? Who am I doing it for? Am I doing it for me, or am I doing it for someone else? So many times, and I'm forever going to be a recovering people pleaser. It's just what I do. It's my nature. But who are we doing it for? Am I actually making this decision for myself and what's best for me? Or am I doing it because I'm trying to make someone else happy or avoid what they might think if I don't make that decision? So you want to question, that as well. And then the other one would be, what do I have to gain from it? What is in it for me? And that's not selfish, you guys. Like, it's not selfish to say, what's in it for me? Hey, you got to take care of you. You come first. So if you're constantly giving and giving and giving, eventually you're going to have this empty jelly bean jar and nothing left to give. So you've got to make sure that the decisions you're making are for yourself. What is the reason that you're doing it? What is the intention behind it? So that's the first thing, is kind of being aware and asking yourself some of those questions. You can write them at the top of a page, what's my intention behind it? Who am I trying to please? And why am I doing it? And then just start to write and see what comes out. The second thing, which I'm huge about, is communication. In our relationships, we are so afraid to say how we feel. We're so afraid of disappointing other people. And I am really, really guilty of this. And it's why I struggled with depression, because I kept so much bottled inside me, afraid to say how I felt, because I would rock the boat, or I would upset someone else, or someone wouldn't, accept me. So that's also linked to, codependency, abandonment, all the other shit, that we use as coping mechanisms growing up. But anyway, it's communicating about it. It's telling that other person, you know what, I can't show up to that wedding because, well, actually you wouldn't want to say that because I don't want to, because I don't give a shit, but just decline it. Maybe you don't even need to give a reason. Or communicate. Let's say it's your job and you're in this job and it's like, you don't want to be there. So is there something that could make it better? Could you actually talk to your boss, or could you talk to your, a coworker, or find a way to get more out of the job that you're in? Well, you're not going to know that if you don't ask and you don't communicate about it. And communication could also be with yourself, like sitting down and saying, gosh, this job just makes me feel like absolute crap. Like, I don't want to go. So let me sit down and really start to figure out, what could I see myself doing, and start to have those conversations with yourself. So I think communication is really, really important, using your voice. And most of the time I've found, when I'm afraid to say something to somebody and then I finally get the guts to say it, their reaction or response is never what I thought it was going to be. Like, I actually just made up a story in my head. So communicate, huge. Number 3 is getting curious, always questioning, like, why don't I give a shit? Or why do I give a shit? So a lot of times I feel like we will act like we give a shit sometimes, and then other times we don't, because we're manipulating a situation. So let me think. An example that comes to mind with this is it's always relationships. You don't want to disappoint somebody. So I'll give an example of my past relationship. It was always about I wanted more time. I wanted you to spend more time with me, and so begrudgingly, I felt like he would come up with things to do and act like he gave a shit. But when he was in the situation with me, he wasn't present. He wasn't there. So it's like I could tell, I could feel that, I could sense that. And it's like he was pretending to give a shit because he just didn't want to hear me nagging or complaining or being upset. But the thing is, we get to be disappointed. And that's where it links back to communication, right? If I'm communicating about something that, I need, and then you do it or don't do it, whether I get disappointed doesn't necessarily mean now I'm judging you or I'm holding that against you. It's just me communicating, hey, I'm disappointed. And we get to be that, right? We get to have our feelings. So it's getting curious. Why are you making the decisions that you are, or why are you not making the decisions? What are you holding back from? If you already know the answer to something kind of intuitively, or you have this gut feeling, but there's a reason why you're not doing it. So you always want to dig deeper through your own emotional awareness into why you give a shit or why you don't give a shit, and just be more authentic about it, you guys. Just dig into it, because here's the thing. When you're not being true to yourself and you're just out there trying to please everybody else, or you're avoiding making decisions that are truly going to benefit you, who are you really hurting? Yourself. It's not about the other person. Another person's reaction or response to you not giving a shit, that's their emotion. Does that make sense? You're just the trigger, or sometimes another person is just a trigger. The emotion is yours. So we have to stop going through life not being authentic and not being true to ourselves. And I really have learned this the hard way, and it's taken me a long time. I would say really the last couple of years, to where I finally started speaking up. And there's something really empowering about it when you stand up for the things you give a shit about, and you stand back and actually say, you know what, I don't give a shit, and don't worry about it, and truly don't worry about it. You know how sometimes you'll make a decision and then you'll be like, oh God, I shouldn't have done that. Should I have done that? Are they mad at me? Well, right there, that tells you like you didn't take enough time to vet it out, to be curious about why you're doing it. So, you weren't confident in your decision. So the last thing, the fourth thing that I wrote was, this takes practice. I mean, you just have to practice it. And it can be something so little as, how, like, here's an example. Like this morning, I had this like in the back of my mind, I got to get up, I got to go to the gym. Well, I didn't really want to go to the gym. I didn't feel like working out today. I felt like doing more creative stuff. But in the back of my head, it's like, well, if I don't go to the gym, that little voice, right? That story. And so I just sat there and I'm like, no, like, I don't give a shit about going to the gym today. I would rather do this creative work because number one, I need to get it done. And number two, I want to. This is what I feel like using my energy for. So something as small as that is practicing. That's being more authentic with why you're making the decision. I'm not going to go to the gym because a better use of my time today that will leave me more fulfilled is recording this podcast or doing creative work for, my business or whatever it is. So I hope this gives you guys something to think about, because we really, really just need to be more authentic in the way we show up, more vulnerable in how we talk to other people about what we're actually feeling, asking for what we need. And I think it starts with really questioning what you give a shit about. So thank you guys so much. If you have any comments, let me know. And please subscribe, share the podcast. And I will be back to you guys next week with something. Who knows what the topic will be, but it'll be something that has to do with our emotions and digging deep into that. Love you guys. Stay noble. Oh, no.